Is there no line they will not cross? Will God himself have to raise those who died in Sodom and Gomorrah and kneel before them seeking their forgiveness if he does not judge and punish an unrepentant America? Joining us now to express her outrage with Joe Biden is Tabitha Walter, the Washington, D.C. Executive Director for Eagle Forum. Find them at eagleforum.org. White House disgraces U.S. flag at Pride Month event. Tabitha Walter, welcome to the airwaves in Texas.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Should we honor and celebrate the U.S. flag?
Oh, absolutely. That's a no-brainer. You know, our U.S. flag has been around for 246 years now, and it represents so many things. It represents all American people, the freedoms that our soldiers fought for, the privileges and the luxuries that we get to enjoy in the United States of America. But of course, those freedoms are constantly under attack, and the symbolism that our flag holds, all of those values are under attack as well. And so we need to be diligent in protecting those, whether it's through, government means or through local and community means. And so we always need to be vigilant about protecting those freedoms.
Did Joe Biden dishonor our U.S. flag by displaying the LGBTQ pride flag at the same height and in between two U.S. flags recently in the portico at the White House?
Oh, yes. It was a disgusting display. And, not only was, like you said, the pride flag was at the same level as the U.S. flag, but the events that went on below those flags were equally as disgusting. We had, there were lots of members of those who identify as part of the gay and transgender community. But not only that, they had topless individuals there. It was a mockery of our federal government, a mockery of the White House and the history that it represents. And it was just very disgraceful. It's an embarrassment, especially to show that around the world. And so we, of course, at Eagle Forum were just very disgusted at what went on. And so we had to make the American people aware so that they know what's going on in their White House.
Are millions upon millions of refugees, of those in poverty, those that are being discriminated against, those that don't feel safe, are millions upon millions trying to flee to any other country in the world besides America?
Right. I hear you. America has always been known for its exceptionalism, and we've made progress throughout the years, even though, there are instances in the United States past that we don't like to see, but we still talk about that history because it's how we've grown as a nation. And that's the greatness of America, is that we can grow and that we can learn how to represent all people. However, that's still not enough for a lot of leftists, because they want their own rights. They don't want people to disagree with them. And so any progress that we've made as a country, they want to push it back. And so that's why we see them trying to raise a flag that's not the U.S. flag at the same level or even higher than our United States flag. And so instead of being unified, they're dividing the country.
Well, when they say we need to be inclusive, does inclusive to them mean everybody's ideas, including Christian, or is it inclusive if you believe their way and their way only? Is that their definition of being inclusive?
Oh, it's absolutely their way. And we see that in many instances We've seen recently the pride events and pride curriculums in schools, especially towards children. We've seen it in children's programming. And whenever people disagree with this kind of programming, then there's all this blowback. We saw it in a school recently where teachers and faculty wanted students to wear pride clothes that on a certain day, and students actually refused and wore red, white, and blue instead. Well, that faculty made such an uproar. They went to the school board. They said that they were being discriminated against. They said that those students were transphobic. And so it's a prime example of how they were not being inclusive. They were actually discriminating against the students who didn't want to participate. And so it's very hypocritical what they're putting out there.
Tabitha Walter is our current guest, Washington, D.C. Executive Director for Eagle Forum. Tabitha, plain and simple, are many in the LGBT community simply bullies?
Oh, absolutely. We see that, like I mentioned, in certain public spheres, but we've seen it a lot in corporations recently because they've labeled June as Pride Month. And so we've seen many big investors into companies like Target and Kohl's, even Cracker Barrel, who are saying you must conform to these kind of ideologies. You must put out the rainbow flag. You must put out merchandise that has pro-pride messages, or we will pull our investments altogether. And so that in and of itself is bullying. Companies are so worried about the money that they may lose from these big investors that they're just complying. And the consumers are getting really upset with that kind of bullying. And so we're doing what we can to make a bigger stand. And we've seen this year with those companies, them back off a little. And so the more that we put pressure on as the consumer, the more that we can actually make a dent in bringing back some sort of values to our economy and to these companies who want to push a specific ideology.
Friends, they put the pride flag in between two American flags on the portico overlooking the White House lawn. Joe Biden did that. Democrats did that. Friends, there's no line they will not cross. There's no shame that they feel. No shame. Is there any truth in this statement in wrapping up, Tabitha? All it takes for evil to prevail is for good men and women to do nothing.
Oh, absolutely. There are many, many things that we can do rather than be silent, whether it's voting or sharing resources from good organizations to make people aware of what's actually going on. You can contact your congressman, your state representatives, even your local representatives. You can volunteer for different boards or run for office. And the most basic thing that you can do is parent your children or be a good role model towards children who are facing this kind of ideology every day, and to speak life and to speak good values into their development. And so just on the most basic level, you can make a difference in children's lives who are going to be our future leaders.
I can't do everything, but because I can't do everything, I refuse to do nothing. Friends, start on your knees. Ask God to show you what you can do. Tabitha Walter, Executive Director for Washington, D.C. office for Eagle Forum, has been our guest. Find her, eagleforum.org. Sign up for their e-blasts. Tabitha, thanks for being a first-time guest.
Oh, thank you so much.